Hey Haunters, we're gonna have a quick video on how we did this painting effect using a sponge and a dark gray paint over a black layer of paint on a prop. So Ronan's actually gonna do it for the first time. He's learning some new painting techniques, and so he's gonna show you how we did this effect. Okay, so this is how we started. First we have a completed tombstone. The heat gun part and the carving has been done, and there's a single layer of black paint already on top of the tombstone. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show our sponging technique using a sea sponge and a darker gray paint, and Ronan's going to go ahead and start to sponge it on top of the tombstone. Go ahead, honey. So you're just going to blob up and down and keep blobbing. And don't worry that the paint is running out, okay? Because it's going to kind of go darker gray and lighter grays as the paint kind of thins out and dries out on the sponge. So you want to have to do not every inch of the tombstone, but most of it. And it's almost like a dry brush technique at the end when the sponge starts to run out. So each layer that you do, it's going to have more and more of a stippling effect, and your deeper part of your tombstone is going to keep the recesses of the black paint, and the surface is going to keep the gray paint. And keep sponging, keep showing them. Go up and down, up and down. There you go. And then what happens, especially around here, Rona, make sure you get around these edges. See the edges of the cuts?
Yeah, but I'm on nails.
That's okay. No, I want you to just keep doing it right there. There you go. So when you get the edges of those cuts there, it really pops them, because you can't get inside. You don't want to push too hard. You're not getting inside the cuts that's staying black, but you're actually getting the edges on the surface. And the cuts eventually become really pronounced. Okay? Let me have a sponge for a second, sweetheart. Even though you're dry, you can push up and down like this, and it almost, like you can see the cut, it's going to really become relieved once you get the color all over it. And don't worry about being too much. What I could have done is I could have used a darker gray and then done a lighter gray on top just to give it to more depth, but we're not going to worry too much about that. We're just trying to get a simple tombstone for a prop that I need done, and I just want to give it a little bit more depth than rather having just a plain old gray tombstone. I want to give it more of a stone look. So this is a good way to go about doing that. And you put a couple dark blobs on here, but that's totally okay because it just eventually just gets blended in. And if you just keep hitting it, and you actually sponge over the parts that have a bit more heavy paint, that gets spread around, and then eventually you get this really nice marbled effect. So, you always want to paint dark to light. And the dark colors recess, and the light colors come forward. And that'll give you your dimension look. And I'm going to leave some spots on purpose dark, not worry about it. But I'm definitely going to get around these cuts. You see that, Ronan? Yeah. Okay, almost done here. Just gonna definitely get around those cuts because you don't want to push too hard, like I said. Make sure the cuts stay dark. Okay, I missed a couple up here, and you don't need a whole lot of paint either because we've dabbed it once and it's just getting more spread out all over the tombstone, so this really doesn't need a lot of paint. We have a gap in this tombstone because it's in front of a prop, so that's why there's a cut in the center. It's allowing a mechanism to glide back and forth. It's gotta, there you go. You kind of smooth those lines out, and you don't want any lines that look like a paintbrush line. There we go. Now it looks like, now it's starting to look like stone. There we go. I'm going to pull back a little bit. Yeah, that looks really good. Really good. I'll give it a little bit more and then this will be done. So there's a really simple way to do a sponging technique using a sea sponge and some paint. Either lighter color on top of whatever dark color that you have for a stone effect. Hope this was helpful. Keep haunting.